In the age when humanity was no longer confined to a single blue world, peace had become more than a dream, it had become a practiced reality. The humans had learned to live among countless species, not by conquering, but by listening. They were known throughout the galaxy as the adaptable ones, the bridge builders, the strange deathworlders who could survive anything and yet preferred to heal rather than harm. Their colonies were scattered across dozens of worlds, and one of them, Eden 9, stood as a shining symbol of unity. It was not owned by any one species but shared between humans and their allies, small reptilian Atari traders, gentle feathered Locan caretakers, and amphibious Troshan engineers. Children of all species played together in open fields under twin suns. Human laughter mixed with alien tones, creating a music the universe had rarely heard before. The Galactic Council called Eden 9 a miracle. The Vraxian Empire called it a disease. The Vraxians were old, proud, and cruel. 4 centuries they had ruled through fear and obedience, claiming that order was the highest virtue. When humans arrived, they saw only chaos wrapped in compassion. They saw weakness in mercy and instability in emotion. Yet what they couldn't see was the quiet steel that hid beneath humanity's warmth. At first, they tolerated humans as a curiosity, then as competitors, and finally as a threat to their authority. Their propaganda networks began whispering that humans were dangerous manipulators who softened other races for conquest. They spoke of purging sentimentality and restoring purity. But the galaxy was tired of blood. Few listened. Few believed the Empire would ever act on Eden 9. Life continued peacefully. Human parents worked beside Atari artisans, sharing meals and laughter. Children attended mixed academies, learning both physics and interspecies ethics. A single creed guided them all: that no child, no matter the species, should ever grow up in fear. It was this idea, so simple and human, that the Empire would come to hate most. When the first Vraxian patrol entered Eden 9's orbit, no one worried. They claimed to be on a routine patrol. The human overseer, a woman named Moral Ilian, greeted them warmly and offered assistance. The Vraxian commander declined. He was polite, even respectful. But there was something cold behind his voice, a calculation, a disdain that dripped through every syllable. 2 days later, everything changed. It began with a routine transport, a school shuttle carrying 43 children, most of them human, a few Atari, a handful of Troshan, and 2 Locan siblings. It was a quiet day, skies clear, the sun's low. The ship transmitted a simple message to air control: departing Eden City, destination Hillspire Academy. Then, without warning, the Vraxian patrol ships repositioned. Sensors detected power surges. Then light. Blinding, white, merciless light. The shuttle never stood a chance. The explosion echoed across the upper atmosphere, a silent bloom of plasma scattering into fragments. The human controllers froze. The Vraxians transmitted no distress, no apology, no explanation. Within minutes, they jumped to hyperspace. Eden 9 went silent. At first, the Council received conflicting reports: an accident, a reactor malfunction, pirates. The Empire publicly blamed local instability and offered condolences, calling the deaths regrettable. But human sensors had already recorded everything. Every millisecond of data, every trace signature of the Vraxian weapons that had fired without provocation. The footage spread through Soulnet. Millions of humans watched in stunned disbelief as the last transmissions from the shuttle played out: the soft chatter of children, the faint sound of laughter, a small human voice saying, "Look, I can see home from here," followed by silence. Something ancient stirred. Across human space, entire planets fell quiet. Workers stopped mid-task. Soldiers on leave looked up at the stars. Teachers paused in classrooms. For a long, breathless moment, humanity shared a single emotion: not rage, not yet, but something deeper and colder: grief. The Galactic Council convened within hours. The Vraxians arrived in grand attire, presenting falsified evidence that local terrorists had caused the blast. Human ambassadors demanded full investigation. The Council hesitated. The Vraxian Empire was powerful, old, and volatile. The risk of galactic war was too high. They voted to defer inquiry pending additional proof. Human delegates stood silently. No words. No protests. Just cold eyes and tightened jaws. When the session ended, every human representative stood and walked out together, leaving the chamber in utter silence. The galaxy watched. Some pitied them. Others mocked them. No one understood what they had just witnessed. That night, the lights of Earth dimmed. The planetary grid rerouted power to deep space facilities. Orbital shipyards, once dormant, roared to life. The SolNet's civilian nodes went dark, replaced by encrypted relays. Civilian drones vanished from known space, their signals fading into the void. The United Terran Assembly made no announcements. No declarations of war. No public statements. Only one short message, sent through private encrypted channels to every human installation: Operation Aegis is green. On Mars, a retired fleet captain looked at the message and began to cry. On Europa, engineers sealed the final hull plating, on a ship with no name and no registry. On the dark side of Luna, silent hangars opened for the first time in decades, revealing vessels that did not exist on any galactic record. Humanity was not mobilizing. Humanity was awakening. The Vraxian Empire mistook their silence for weakness. Their analysts noted no troop movements, no declarations. They dismissed humans as too emotional to retaliate with logic or discipline. But deep within Sol's hidden networks, an ancient protocol reactivated, a code written long ago, in the early days of space expansion, designed for one purpose: retaliation. It did not speak in anger. It did not broadcast threats. It simply began to calculate. On the third day after the Eden 9 tragedy, the Human Military Council met underground. Every major fleet admiral attended in silence. At the center of the chamber, Maro Ilian, the Eden 9 overseer, stood with a hollow expression. Her voice was steady, stripped of emotion. She presented the evidence, the recordings, and the council's dismissal. She finished with 5 words: "They killed our children. Deliberately." No one spoke. Not a single sound. Then Admiral Juno Reyes leaned forward and said what everyone was already thinking. Then we stopped being quiet. That was the moment the galaxy's first rule began to form. Not written. Not spoken. But understood: never harm human children. Messages spread through the human frontier, subtle, coded, impossible to trace. The galaxy didn't notice at first. The Vraxian Empire was vast, confident, and certain of its supremacy. Humanity's silence was taken as defeat. Their analysts declared victory, labeling the Eden 9 incident a closed matter. The Empire turned its attention back to expansion, secure in the illusion that the Terrans had retreated into grief. But the quiet was not peace. It was pressure, silent, invisible, and gathering force. The first sign came from the edges of the Empire. A logistics hub in the Olhis belt went dark. The Empire assumed a reactor fault. A replacement convoy arrived and found nothing: no wreckage, no signal, only a faint electromagnetic echo. The entire station, a structure 5 kilometers wide, was gone. Its coordinates registered as empty space. 2 hours later, all records of that station were erased from the Empire's central database. The name Altis no longer existed in their systems. Then it happened again: mining colonies, patrol fleets, outposts, entire sectors vanished from Imperial records, not through attack but deletion. Their systems no longer recognized them. The Vraxian AI networks began to malfunction, unable to confirm their own history. Analysts panicked. They found human-coded algorithms embedded in the architecture, not invasive viruses, but corrective programs that rewrote data according to human ethics models. The programs did not destroy. They redefined. Entire sectors labeled as military targets were recategorized as civilian preservation zones. The Empire's war computers refused to fire on them. It wasn't a weapon. It was reprogrammed morality. Vraxian admirals demanded answers. The Empire's central AI claimed no breach was detected. Yet every time they attempted to restore deleted data, the system responded with the same phrase in Old Earth Latin: non nocere infantibus. Don't harm the children. The Empire dismissed it as human sabotage, but they underestimated the scale. Over 600 systems began reporting similar interference. Supply chains collapsed. Fleets starved of fuel and information drifted helplessly. In desperation, the Vraxians sent a fleet to investigate the Sol system, believing they could strike the source. They never returned. What little data escaped showed glimpses of impossible phenomena, ships appearing from nowhere, disappearing without trace, beams of light bending unnaturally, and a final image, a human vessel marked with no insignia, hull black as void, its surface shifting like liquid shadow. The Empire's leadership dismissed the footage as fabricated. But the fear among their ranks was real. Soldiers whispered that the humans had become ghosts, that their machines no longer obeyed the laws of physics. The truth was simpler. Humanity had redefined the battlefield. Centuries of surviving on a death world had taught them that brute force was never the answer. They fought with adaptation, not domination. In secret, they had developed fleets built from layered chaos algorithm ships whose trajectories were calculated through quantum uncertainty, unreadable by any known sensor. To the galaxy, they were invisible. To humans, they were precise instruments of justice. When these ships struck, they did not destroy worlds. They erased the ability to wage war. The first major blow came at Vrax Station 9, the Empire's largest weapons foundry. A city-sized complex orbiting a red dwarf, producing plasma lenses and gravity torpedoes by the thousands. One day it simply stopped. Not exploded, stopped. Every machine, reactor, and terminal powered down simultaneously. When engineers tried to restart them, their systems displayed a message: your production violates Article 1 of the Human Accord, no weapons against children. No one knew what the Human Accord was. There were no human transmissions. Yet across the galaxy, more factories shut down in the same way. Shipyards refused to function. Military AI refused targeting commands. The Empire's war machine ground to a halt under the weight of its own crimes. The Vraxian Council declared a state of emergency. They accused the humans of cyber warfare and ordered an all-out assault on every human world. But by then, human space was gone from the map. Every route to Sol returned false coordinates. Navigation systems looped endlessly, jumping between phantom stars. When the first invasion fleet finally found a trace of a human colony, it was on Ceres 4, a mining outpost. They opened fire. Their weapons failed. Every energy cell drained to zero. Then the Vraxians saw lights, on the surface small, deliberate patterns forming in binary, go home. The fleet tried to retreat. None of their jump drives activated. Then, slowly, their communications filled with sound, not human speech, but the soft echo of children laughing. Every system went dark. The Empire began to collapse under its own paranoia. They declared martial law, purging officers suspected of human collaboration. But humans had never infiltrated the Empire. They didn't need to. The Empire's arrogance was its weakness. It had built its entire infrastructure on stolen technologies, many of them reverse-engineered from early human trait designs. Humanity simply turned those foundations against them. The Galactic Council watched in shock. Member species debated intervention, but no one dared act. Every ship that attempted to contact the Terrans was intercepted by a black signal, a coded pulse that rendered their navigation systems useless for hours. No harm, just a warning. Whispers began spreading through neutral space. The humans were rewriting the universe itself. As weeks turned into months, the Empire's desperation deepened. Civilian unrest spread. The once mighty fleets fragmented into isolated groups, blind and powerless. The few surviving admirals proposed negotiating directly with humanity, offering reparations. They sent envoys toward Earth. None were ever seen again. Then, without warning, the pattern changed. The humans struck openly. It began with the fall of the Vraxian core relay, the central hub connecting the Empire's star systems. Every fleet, every world, every administrative node depended on it. The day it failed, the Empire fell into chaos. The cause was simple. Every energy conduit had been reversed simultaneously, feeding power inward instead of outward. The resulting implosion destroyed nothing but data. Lives were spared. But the Empire's history, command structures, and logistics vanished overnight. Within hours, all Vraxian communications were replaced by a single broadcast, a human voice, calm and cold. We asked for justice. You gave us lies. We asked for peace. You gave us silence. We asked for protection for our children. You gave us graves. Now, you will learn. Then, silence again. Across the empire, cities went dark. Not from attack, but from surrender. Machines simply refused to obey. Starships floated powerless. Entire fleets drifted aimlessly, their crews unable to navigate, unable to even open hatches. Gravity locks engaged permanently. In orbit of Rex Prime, the Empire's capital, the sky burned with auroras, beautiful, unnatural lights cascading in geometric patterns. Every defensive satellite aligned to form a massive lattice over the planet, sealing it in a web of light. The humans had created a quarantine. No ships entered or left. No signals escaped. The Vraxian High Command sent emergency beacons to the Council, begging for aid. The Council convened but could do nothing. Their fleets would not approach human-controlled zones. Their navigation systems failed the moment they crossed invisible thresholds. The Empire was alone. The blackout lasted 7 days. On the 8th, human ships appeared.